And then the brother came along and she married him and they didn't have any children. And then he died. And then the other brother came along and she married him and they didn't have any children. And he died. You know, at some point, the coroner and the investigator need to go by and see what's going on over there at that house. But that's a whole other story. Amen. They were just telling the story, trying to get a point across, trying to get Jesus to give them an answer because they had been questioning his authority. They wanted to know who he was and how he thought he could go around teaching and preaching the way that he was. And so they said, well, you know, we can get him on this. Because clearly all this foolishness he's doing doesn't have anything to do with the God that we serve. So we'll ask him this question. And when he answers the question, the way he answers all these other questions, then we know we got it.
Come on now.
Then we know. See, some folk just show up in your path just to get you. They ain't interested in having you, they just want to get you. And make sure you got along the way. Amen? That was for free. Ain't even in the ministry. That's free. That's going to help you on Thursday. That's going to help you on Thursday. I think they tried to get me. They said something on Sunday about somebody trying to get me. And so they're posing this question about the resurrection. Now, the writer sets this up quite nicely right there in verse 27. Some Sadducees, those who say there is no resurrection, came to Jesus. Now, they don't even believe there's a such thing as a resurrection, but they came to Jesus with a question about the resurrection. So you know right there, it's a trap. They trying to get it. See, so when somebody come to you and you know they don't know anything about what they're talking about, you can say they're trying to get it. Because I know they don't know what they're talking about. Amen? And you can just laugh and you can just move on with what you have to do. But I want to get 3 volunteers here real quick. I need them to help me. Just stand up and hold that for me, Gladys. Miss Lavivian, you sang so beautifully, dear. You just stand up and hold that up right there. Miss Denise, you know you just wanted to offer. So stand up there, right there with that. And see, I need them to help me with this because I want you to understand who we're dealing with in this text. So in this text, what's happening when you first come to Luke chapter 20, Jesus is in this little tete-a-tete with the scribes and the Pharisees. Now, the scribes and the Pharisees don't typically get along. The Pharisees are the religious leaders who tend to know pretty much everything, you know. And then the scribes go along with whatever the Pharisees have told them to go along with. And then, so the scribes and the Pharisees have been in this exchange with Jesus, trying to figure out what's going on. Trying to make sure he got. Amen? And so they ask Jesus a question, Jesus responds with a question. So they ask Jesus another question, Jesus responds with a question. They ask Jesus yet another question, what does Jesus do? Respond with a question. And they like, wait a minute, this one's different. We need to do something different, right? We got to do something differently here because we want a different response. See, okay, you already know that part. And so these two who don't normally get along have now gotten together and they're trying to get Jesus and it's not working. And there's this other group that they don't particularly like or care for. And so these two groups that you normally get together, don't like each other, decide we'll go get our other one that we don't care too much for either. See, you've got to be careful. You have to be aware when your enemies start getting together to get you. Amen? When enemies come together, something big's about to happen. So now they all got together. I hope you're getting the picture here. I hope you're getting the picture here, okay? And so I want you to understand who they are. And I want you to understand what their motivations are. So I need to interview them so that you understand, all right? So get in front of your mic, get in front of your mic. I need to interview them so that we can understand what's going on here. So, Miss Pharisee.
Yes.
Whatever she said.
Miss Sadducee, do you follow the writings of the prophets?
No.
No. See, the Sadducees believed in only the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. They believed that all the other writings were just fairy tales. Particularly those parts of them that talked about another world or anything that pointed to a life after. Okay? But let's test this out. Let's just see. That's just one black man's pen. Let's just see. Miss Pharisee, do you believe in life after death?
Yes.
Miss Scribe?
Whatever she said.
Miss Sadducee?
No.
No life after death. Okay, what about resurrection of the dead? Miss Pharisee?
Yes, I do.
All right, Miss Scribe? Miss Sadducee?
No.
No. So give them a hand. Give them a hand. See, so the only thing they hold in common is the books of Moses. Okay? And so beyond that, there's a departure. But what brings them back together in this instant, in this text, is their desire to bring Jesus down. See? So, the Pharisees, give me those back because I don't want anybody calling out those. Give me those back. In fact, let's just reassign. Let me just reassign. I don't want y'all calling them that after service. So we mixed it all up. But we see in this text here that the Sadducees concoct this ridiculous scenario to show that resurrection as a concept is ludicrous. They're trying to point out, they're trying to show Jesus and all those who are gathered there that this notion of resurrection can't be right. It can't be true. It cannot happen because there's no mention of it in the books of Moses. No mention of it in the Torah. No mention of it in the first 5 books of the Bible. So if it's not there, it can't be real. But here's the thing. They joined together with some people who believe that stuff.
Right.
Don't look at them like they're strange because you're sitting on the pew with somebody who believes some stuff you don't believe. All right. So, but to the Sadducee, I said it. To the Sadducee, eternity was in the offspring, not in some other world. To the Sadducee, you lived on through your descendants.
Right.
That was why it was imperative that they have heirs, sons. That they have sons. It was through their sons that they lived on. That's why you have all that craziness with Abraham and Sarah, and then they bring in Hagar, and they, y'all know that story?
Yes.
You talk about a soap opera. I mean, my God! I was like, remember the first time I heard that? I was like, who told us this in Sunday school? I mean, I was 32 before they let me read that story. Like, my goodness. So the only notion of life going on was through a son, through an heir, which is crazy. Nobody wanted a daughter. So I'm wondering how they thought these sons were going to get here. Monday through Saturday thinking. Bring your Monday through Saturday thinking to grace when you come. Amen? Oh, my God, today. But Jesus shows them that what they're doing in this scenario that they're laying out here is that they're comparing apples to oranges. You're talking about whether or not there is a resurrection and whether there is a resurrection, and you're talking about Moses, what Moses said and what Moses didn't say, but look at what Jesus does. Jesus uses their own teaching.
Right.
Uses their own example. Now who got? Amen? But Jesus shows them how Moses knew about life after death. Did you catch that in this scripture? But he shows them because when God spoke to Moses, here's what Jesus says to them. When God spoke to Moses from the burning bush, God said, I am the God of Abraham. I am the God of Isaac. I am the God of Jacob. He didn't say I was the God of Abraham, or I used to be the God of Isaac, or I thought about, once long ago, back then. He said, no, I am the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob.
Amen.
It says in God's own declaration, God decrees and declares that I am a God of the living. Which is to say that if I created you, I am in you. And if I created you and I am in you, you shall live forevermore. Which means you never, ever die. Why? Because you are in me. I am in you. I am with you. I am the God of the living. So this mess you talking about doesn't even apply.
Amen.
Because I am.
Come on.
Amen.
And we're able to make that claim that I am, and we're able to step into an understanding that the Spirit abides, that the Spirit remains, that the Spirit continues, that the Spirit stays. Why? Because God always remains, that God always continues, and God always stays. And if God remains, if God continues, and God stays, beloved, the Holy Spirit remains. The Holy Spirit continues. The Holy Spirit stays within you, with you, at all times, in all places, in all situations, even when your enemy is trying to get you. The Spirit yet abides within you. Trust and believe, if the Spirit of God did not abide within you, the enemy would not care about you. Oh, have y'all missed that? If the Holy Spirit did not abide in you, the enemy would not care about you. See, we get this thing all flipped around. We like, oh my, I'm in God. I'm trying to follow the Lord. I've been reading the Word. Oh, I've been reading the Word. I've been reading His Word. Oh, I've been down on the altar. I've been praying. And I've been praying. Oh, but my bills still aren't paid. I've got to read some more because I don't understand what's going on. Oh, I've got to pray some more because it just keeps on coming my way. Beloved, it's coming your way because the enemy knows that the Spirit is all in you and all over you. And if you can decide that that is the truth, then you got God. See? When we stumble over those big questions of life, of how this world folds into the next one, and what's going to come of me, and what's happening to me, oh, woe me. Something has to quicken inside you. That reminds you that God's got this.
Come on now. Come on.
Now, folk might be trying to get you, but you have to know that God has got this. Whatever this is, when they say this and that, God's got this. She said this, and that. God's got this. She said this, and that. God's got this. See, I believe the Spirit was abiding in the Pharisees and the scribes. That's what brought them together. Oh, I changed y'all, didn't I? See, the Spirit's even working around all that other stuff that you don't understand. See, we can't believe that all things work together for our good. And believe that all that stuff is out to get us.
Come on now.
We can't believe that all things work together for our good. And believe that all that other stuff is going to take us out. Take us out. Those two things they're not going to fit together. And that's part of your problem. You tried to make those two things fit together. It's never going to. Just pick one. Just pick one. Pick one. Pick one. Pick one. You don't even have to be consistent. Just pick one. Change tomorrow if you want to, but just pick one. Don't try to do both. It's going to drive you crazy. It's going to be a problem. But the one that's in the Word, the one you've been reading, this one, it says all things work together for the good of those who are called according to His purpose. Now what your mind and maybe your mama or your circumstances told you is that all that other stuff is going to take you down. But what the Word says is that God works all things together for you. So the Spirit abides in us so that we are invited to live differently. The Spirit abides so that we value differently. Our values don't align with everybody else's and with everything. Our values differently. The Spirit abides so that we hope unreservedly. So that even when the circumstances look bleak, when everything that we can see says that it is no more, that there ain't no more. Y'all ever been in the ain't no more situation? Ain't no more money, ain't no more man, ain't no more food, ain't no more gas on the car. Y'all don't do ain't no more on this side? Or no French shop? Well, praise God, y'all move past ain't no more. I guess ain't no more. I'm going to preach ain't no more next week. Somebody figure out how to spell it. We'll put it on the marquee. Ain't no more. We have a little contest. How do you spell ain't no more? We're going to put it on the marquee. But when the Spirit abides, beloved, we hope unreservedly. Which means that whenever we inhale and exhale, we realize that's hope. Even if we don't know where our next breath is going to take us, we hope. When we're put one foot in front of the other, or even if we can just still imagine putting one foot in front of the other, that's hope. Even remembering what it used to be like to put one foot in front of the other will give us hope. And we're able to do that. Why? Because the Spirit abides. The Spirit abides so that we can praise constantly.
Yes.
Constantly. It's not always about how we sing it or how we say it. The question is whether or not you do it. Because when the Spirit abides, you realize that the life you live is not your own. You realize that the life you live is not even about you. It involves you, but it's not about you. But it's about what the Spirit must do through you, around you. And when you get like the Pharisees and the scribes and the Sadducees, it's what the Spirit must do in spite of you. In the midst of whatever your circumstances may be. So in the stillness of this moment, I invite you to just pause. Just think about the circumstance that you're in. Think about how just the shifting of your mindset from I'm in this all by myself, or a shift from I hope this works out, to a mindset that says, and a reality that says, the Spirit abides in me. The Spirit abides in me. I know what the doctor said, and I know the choices and the decisions I need to make. The Spirit abides. I know what's happening on my block. I know. I saw it. I see it every day, drive past it. The Spirit abides. This boss been cutting up. The Spirit abides. Got some bills that I don't even open anymore. Because I already know. The Spirit abides. So when we realize, recognize, accept the fact that the Spirit abides in us, it empowers us. Gives us strength and power to face the circumstance, to face the situation, to indeed put one foot in front of the other, to move even when you don't know which direction you're moving in, you just keep moving. Why? Because the Spirit abides. No matter what somebody told you about yourself, please hear me this day. The Spirit abides. Why don't you just tell yourself, the Spirit abides in me. The Spirit abides in me. Yeah. That has more truth than the last ugly thing you told yourself about yourself. I think we can expect great things. Because the Spirit abides. Amen.